Welcome, sleepy traveler. You've arrived at a quiet space made just for you. My name is Valarie, and I am here to guide you gently into rest, to help ease your mind, soften your body, and drift you toward a peaceful, uninterrupted sleep. Whether your day was long or your thoughts feel a little too loud tonight, let this be your permission to slow down, to breathe, and to simply be. There's nothing more to do now. Just allow my voice to be your guide as we begin this gentle journey toward deep, nourishing rest. If you're new here, subscribe for sleep content like this, and like this video if you find it enjoyable. Let's begin. Take in a long, gentle breath and let it out slowly, as if you're releasing the weight of the entire day. Feel the air moving softly in and out, guiding your body into calmness. Each breath is a wave of peace rolling gently through you. Tonight, there is nowhere else you need to be. Notice the surface beneath you, holding you with complete support. Let your body settle a little deeper into comfort. Imagine the weight of your body melting into the bed, as if the day is slowly draining away. Your spine lengthening, your shoulders falling, your whole being softening into this quiet moment. Allow your eyes to close gently without effort. If they are already closed, let them feel even heavier. The muscles around your eyes soften, smoothing away the last bits of tension. Across your forehead, across your temples, the skin of your face is relaxed and serene. Bring your awareness to your jaw. Let your tongue rest softly in your mouth and part your teeth slightly. There's no need to hold or clench. Let it all release. A wave of calm rolls from your jaw down your neck, over your collarbones and across your shoulders. Your shoulders melt into the bed as if they are made of warm sand. Feel your arms growing heavier. From your upper arms down to your elbows. From your forearms all the way into your hands and fingertips. Your hands might feel warm or tingly or simply at rest. Whatever you notice is perfect. Your arms and hands are free of effort, soft and still. Take a slow breath in and sigh it out. Imagine that sigh carrying away any lingering tension. Your chest and ribs gently rise and fall like the ocean. Your heart resting in its steady rhythm, unhurried and calm. With each beat, you are deeper in this moment of ease. Let this relaxation spread into your belly. Feel it soften, unguarded, peaceful. With every exhale, your stomach feels lighter, freer. Your back sinks into the bed. Your spine releasing any last threads of tension. Every muscle in your torso is now at rest. Move your attention to your hips. They are heavy, stable, safe. The weight of the day has left them completely. Your thighs release. Your knees loosen. Your calves and shins are soft and free. Now your feet. The heels sinking. The arches softening. Each toe unwinding as if they too are exhaling. From the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Your entire body is wrapped in calm. Take a moment to notice the stillness within you. This is your sanctuary of rest. The world can wait. Tonight belongs to your peace. Now imagine a soft golden light just above your head. It's warm, gentle, and full of comfort. It begins to descend slowly, like a feather drifting down. As it touches the crown of your head, a wave of relaxation flows through you. The golden light spreads to your forehead, smoothing away any last hints of worry or thought. It glides over your eyes and over your cheeks, leaving warmth and ease in its path. The light moves into your jaw and neck, softening everything it touches. Down your shoulders, down your arms, until even your fingertips glow with this golden calm. Another breath in. Let the golden light move across your chest, over your heart, filling it with gentle warmth. Then down to your belly, wrapping your entire middle in comfort. You are safe, grounded, and completely at ease. The light continues down to your hips and thighs, over your knees, your shins and calves. Finally reaching your feet until your whole body is wrapped in golden tranquility. You are like a lantern glowing softly in the night, full of serene energy. Now imagine yourself outside under a vast evening sky. The air is cool but comforting. You are lying on soft grass that perfectly cushions you. Above you, the first stars begin to appear. Each one twinkles like a soft greeting from the universe. You watch as more appear, slowly filling the sky with light. The longer you gaze, the calmer you feel. The sky is wide and infinite, and tonight it is yours. Far in the distance, a crescent moon begins to rise. Its silver glow bathes the grass and the trees in a quiet, magical light. You feel like the moon is watching over you, protecting your rest. You hear the gentle whisper of a night breeze. It carries the scent of wildflowers and the soft hush of leaves. Somewhere nearby, a small stream trickles, adding to this nighttime lullaby. Nature is singing you to sleep. Your thoughts, if they appear, are like tiny boats on a river. They float gently past without you needing to touch them. The current of calm carries them away. And you are left in perfect stillness again. Your body is heavy and light all at once. Heavy with rest, light with peace. The earth beneath you supports you fully. The sky above you keeps watch with a gentle, loving presence. Feel the deep contentment in this moment. You are safe. You are whole. You are ready to drift into a long, peaceful sleep. Take one last slow breath together. Releasing the day completely. You are floating now in your own soft night sky, cradled by warmth, surrounded by stars. Dreams are approaching, gentle and kind. Rest deeply. Sleep peacefully. And enjoy tonight's bedtime story. Every evening, just as the light begins to soften and the shadows stretch long across the lily pads, I take my favorite route around the pond. There's a particular loop I follow, first under the cattail archway, then past the mossy log shaped like a question mark, and finally I circle 3 times around the wide lily with the bite in its edge. I like routine. It's cozy. It makes the water feel warm even when the wind whispers cooler thoughts through the willow leaves. My name's Fern. I'm a small goldfish with coppery scales and thoughtful eyes, or so says Thimble the frog. He thinks I look deep in thought even when I'm just watching the dragonflies dart. I suppose it's true. I do think a lot, especially about the sky. You see, my pond isn't just any pond. It's quiet and round like a teacup, tucked in a forest where the trees bend protectively over its edges. Reeds hum when the wind plays through them. Lilies bloom like sleepy little suns, and the willow trees trail their fingers in the water like they're remembering something. It's the kind of place where sounds arrive softly, a rustling squirrel, a distant owl, the gentle plip of a falling leaf. But what makes my pond special happens every single evening, just as the last rays of light hush the world. The stars come out, not in the sky at first, but in my pond. The moment the wind stills, the surface smooths to glass, and suddenly, stars, dotted all across the water like tiny glowing fish. They shimmer and blink and stretch gently with the ripples, swimming slowly across the reflection of the night sky. It's a sight that makes my fins stop fluttering. Every time, without fail. I like to float on my back just beneath the surface and pretend I'm in a sky pond looking down into another world. Maybe I'm the reflection and the real goldfish is up there, staring back at me. One evening, when the air was extra still and the stars seemed even more curious than usual, I did something I've never done before. I spoke to them, just a whisper, like a bubble slipping from a reed. I wonder if you ever see me too. The moment hung, suspended in silence. Even the cattails didn't rustle. I waited, heart gently thudding like a drum played with a paintbrush. They didn't answer, of course. Stars are shy, or maybe they're busy swimming their slow, important laps across the heavens. But I felt something warm, like the kind of feeling you get when another creature meets your eyes and smiles. That soft tug of belonging. The next night I returned to the same spot, just beneath the curled willow branch that dips low over the center of the pond, and watched again. I tried whispering once more. "Hello," I said. "You're early tonight." The stars blinked back. A tiny breeze danced across the water, making them twinkle. I took that as a hello in return, and so our nightly ritual began. It wasn't that I felt lonely. The pond has its share of visitors. Thimble sings operas, terribly but enthusiastically. A family of turtles often paddles by in single file. A sleepy heron stands like a statue at dawn. But the stars, they felt like mine. A secret I got to share with the whole universe. Sometimes I'd tell them about my day. Today, a leaf the size of a dinner plate landed near the reeds. I hid beneath it and pretended I was a forest explorer. Or, I met a snail who insisted the moon controls the taste of pond water. He might be right. Or, I watched a dragonfly land on a lily pad and slip. Poor thing looked so embarrassed. The stars listened, or at least they felt like they did. It's a strange thing to explain. How quiet company can feel just as rich as a conversation. But you understand, don't you? That sometimes what you feel is as true as what you hear. One particularly clear evening, the sky was so sharp with stars it almost hurt. They looked closer, as if they'd scooted in while the clouds were away. I floated higher, so close my fins barely brushed the air. "I wonder what it's like up there," I whispered. "Do you swim through cloudfish? Do you rest in moonlight weeds?" I imagined the stars gathering together for evening tea, dunking little stardust biscuits into comets, gossiping about the dreams of frogs and foxes. Just then, a shooting star zipped across the sky, and its reflection streaked through the water like a silver dart. I gasped so hard a bubble popped right out of me. Was that an answer? A wink? A cosmic giggle? My thoughts spiraled with the possibilities. That night, I didn't sleep. I nestled under a lily root, eyes still wide, replaying the moment again and again. I felt like I'd been noticed, as if the sky itself had leaned down and said, "Yes, little one, we see you." The next morning I swam slower, thoughtfuler. Even Thimble noticed. "Too much stargazing," he croaked, balancing on a flat stone. "You'll get dreamy in the fins." I laughed a little. "What if that's a good thing?" He blinked. "Suppose it might be." And from then on I didn't just look at the stars. I spoke to them, shared secrets, wondered aloud. I began calling the brightest one Elder Flicker, the small cluster shaped like a crooked fish, the shoal, and the pale blue one that always seemed last to rise, Late Fin. Naming them made them feel even more like friends, like little pinpoints of understanding, scattered across the ceiling of the world. Some nights clouds would roll in and steal the view. I'd pout, sulk in my pebble cove, and mutter about inconsiderate weather. But even then, I imagined the stars behind the curtain, waiting, listening, giggling. I began wondering, if I can see them and they can maybe kinda sorta see me, what else is out there? Are there other ponds, other goldfish looking up? That thought made me tingle all the way to my tail. Maybe one day a story would travel from star to star, pond to pond, until it reached someone else who whispers to the sky. Maybe they'd whisper back. And so every night I float beneath the willow branch, waiting for the sky to settle. The surface stills, the wind hushes, and there they are, my sky swimmers, my celestial friends, my gentle listeners. Hello again, I whisper, and the pond glows, and the stars shimmer, and I believe, just for a moment, that somewhere out there, the sky is whispering back. It began with a tale. Not mine, of course, I see mine all the time, but a tale made of light, a flicker, barely noticeable, rippling across the pond's mirrored surface just after sunset. I blinked once, then twice. There it was again, a tiny arc of stars that curved like a silver fin sweeping through water. "Did you see that?" I whispered to the cattails, but they only swayed in their usual dreamy rhythm. I floated a little higher, my nose just under the surface. The pond was still. The sky above, clear, deep, and wide, was stitching itself slowly with stars. But now I wasn't just looking at stars. I was looking at patterns. That flickering curve from before, it had friends. Above it, 3 tiny stars in a neat triangle. Beneath, a wide crescent of soft starlight that looked like a wing or a sweeping fin. It wasn't random. It was a shape, a creature. A dolphin, I breathed. Or maybe a ray. The stars twinkled back, and my heart felt as if it might leap right out of my gills. That night I named it the Velvet Ray. It looked soft and strong all at once, like it could glide across oceans of air. From that moment on, I saw them everywhere. Some twinkled shyly in the west, others blinked bold and bright in the north. One looked like a fish made entirely of silver sparks, its tail forked delicately, as if swishing through some great sky current. I called that one the silver minnow. And my favorite, a cluster that blinked and faded and blinked again, like a lantern being swayed by the wind. Its shape wobbled a little, but I loved it more for that. It looked like it was swimming just out of reach, drawing a soft trail behind it. The lantern fin. I started keeping track of them. Not with a scroll and ink like the owls do. I've never been one for dry paper. But in my mind, I built a star map. Each night, I'd float up beneath the willow branch, whisper the names to myself, and add new ones as they swam into view. During the day, I'd tell the lily pads. "There's a new one," I said one morning, gliding lazily in a circle. "Just east of the willow bend. 4 stars, slightly crooked, but they shimmer like scales. I think I'll call it the ripple tail." The lily pads said nothing, but their green surfaces curved just a bit more open, as if leaning in to listen. Thimble the frog joined in once, stretching dramatically on a lily. "Ripple tail," he croaked. "Sounds fancy." "She is," I said with a smile. "Very graceful." He nodded solemnly, then splashed off in pursuit of a fly. Even the turtles started paying attention. When I passed by with news of a new skyfish, they blinked slowly and hummed in their throats, a sign of approval, I think. It's hard to tell with turtles. And so I became the teller of stars, the little goldfish who saw fish in the sky. But something strange began to happen. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, leftover excitement from my star spotting, but soon I knew. I had started dreaming of them. At night, long after the pond had gone quiet and the heron tucked his beak beneath his wing, I would drift into dreams that shimmered blue and silver. In them, I wasn't swimming through pond water anymore. I was gliding through starlight. No lily pads, no willow branches, only great flowing tides of twinkling light and soft, invisible currents that swirled around me like velvet wind. The stars weren't just dots, they were fish, gigantic, gentle, glowing fish. They swam slowly past, their scales humming with quiet lullabies. Their eyes sparkled with knowing. In one dream, the silver minnow circled me 3 times before nudging me forward, encouraging me to follow her trail. In another, the lanternfin hovered just above my head, casting a pool of light that showed hidden constellations beneath my fins. I awoke each time breathless, not scared, not tired, but filled with something I didn't have a word for, like my heart had grown wings. "Do you think dreams come from the stars?" I asked a passing snail the next morning. He squinted up at the sky. I think dreams are the stars." That felt right, or close enough. After that, I began whispering to the skyfish in the day, too, just in case they were listening. "Thank you for the dream," I'd say quietly beneath the cattails. "I liked the part where we looped through the moonlight. That was fun." One afternoon, I arranged pebbles in the shape of the velvet ray on the pond floor. It took ages. My fins aren't exactly built for precision, but I did it. A few curious dragonflies paused above to admire. One even landed on the tip of the pebble tail, like it was blessing my creation. I looked up at the sun, bright and bold, and imagined that even in daylight the skyfish were there, just waiting behind the blue. I started wondering if anyone else dreamed of them too. Did the fox who visits at twilight dream of running through star fields? Did the owl fly through galaxies in her sleep? And if I could dream of swimming with the stars, could I one day reach them? That idea settled in me like the warmest kind of moss, slow and steady and oddly comforting. Perhaps I couldn't leap like the frogs or fly like the birds, but maybe, just maybe, if I watched long enough, dreamed deep enough, believed hard enough, I could find a way to visit my sky-swimming friends. If not with my fins, then with my heart. And until then, I would name them, one by one. I would notice their flickers. I would keep dreaming their songs, because somewhere in the sky the constellation fish waited, and in the pond below a small goldfish with big dreams watched back, whispering, "I see you too." The heron arrived on a velvet evening, one of those nights where the pond feels like it's holding its breath. The stars had only just begun their shy blinking when I noticed his shadow stretch across the water. He landed softly, his great wings folding like paper fans, legs long and spindly as reeds. I knew he wasn't one of the usual visitors. His feathers weren't familiar, and he didn't stand on the usual heron stone by the eastern shore. Instead, he walked to the willow's edge, my favorite lookout, and peered into the water. I floated just beneath the surface, my usual spot for stargazing. At first, I wasn't sure if I should speak. Some birds are all business, fish business. But this one didn't seem hungry. He looked curious. He tilted his head. "What is it you're always looking at?" he asked, his voice low and slow like the hum of twilight. I blinked up at him, then up again, toward the sky's mirrored glow across the pond's still surface. "The fish," I said softly. He didn't laugh, didn't scoff, just shifted one foot and said, "Fish, the ones in the sky," I continued. "The constellation fish. They swim up there. See that cluster? That's the velvet ray. She glides slowly like she's dreaming while awake." He followed my gaze. The stars twinkled just then, the pond's surface rippling slightly as if in agreement. "I've never noticed shapes before," he murmured. "I thought stars were just stars." "They are," I said, "but they're also more if you look long enough. They tell stories, swim in patterns, dance a little. I think they're trying to be seen." He was quiet for a long time after that, long enough for two crickets to begin a duet and a beetle to lose his footing and plop into the shallows. Finally, the heron spoke again. "My name is Halden," he said. "I travel, from pond to stream to river. I've flown beneath many skies, but I've never really looked." I offered him a gentle bubble of welcome. "I'm Fern," I said. "This is my pond, and those are my skyfish." Halden let out a quiet breath, like the wind settling into a blanket. "Next time I fly," he said, "I'll go higher. I'll look for your velvet ray and lantern fin. Maybe I'll bring back news from above." My fins fluttered with delight. "Would you?" I asked, hope blooming like a lily in my chest. "I will," he said, and just like that a promise hung between us, one made not with ceremony but with quiet understanding. That night, Halden stayed longer than any heron I'd known. He stood motionless beside the willow as I pointed out the silver minnow, the ripple-tail, and a new one I'd spotted just that evening, a twisting set of stars that looked like a curl of scales mid-leap. I hadn't named it yet. He suggested Skyloop. It stuck. In the days that followed, something began to shift around the pond. It started small. A pair of field mice crept down the banks one night, whispering to one another. They thought I was asleep, but I caught their words. She's the one who tells star stories. I heard she names the sky. Soon after, a hedgehog waddled in, humming a lullaby. She settled at the water's edge and looked up, then down, then at me. "Tell me about the lanternfin," she asked softly. And so I did. I described its gentle flicker, how it shows up late and always seems to be on the move, how it casts a glow not just in the sky, but in dreams. The hedgehog listened with her eyes closed, as if she could see it just as clearly as I did. More came the next evening. A squirrel with a bent tail, a family of toads, even a shy badger who sat way back in the ferns but leaned in whenever I spoke. They gathered by the pond's edge, a quiet circle of paws and whiskers and twitching ears. The stars appeared on cue and I began to speak. Not loudly, not like the owls do from their lofty branches, but gently, as if I were sharing something sacred. I told them the story of the velvet ray, how she once dreamed of dipping beneath the clouds and touching the surface of the earth, how she watched the reflections and wondered if any fish below dreamed of the sky. "She does," I said at the end, smiling toward the sky. "And now she knows I do too." The animals stayed long after the story ended. Some dipped tails in the water, others yawned, sleepy-eyed, comforted. No one spoke. The silence didn't need filling. From that night on, the gatherings became regular. Not every creature came every night, but there was always someone who needed to hear a quiet tale. On nights when the stars showed up bright and bold, I traced out constellations with my fin and gave them new names. On cloudy evenings when the sky hid behind a thick gray curtain, I simply remembered for them. "That patch there," I'd say, pointing with my nose, "that's where the silver minnow swims. She glows brightest just before the moon rises." And though they couldn't see, the others nodded, trusting my vision. One night, a small owl landed softly near the edge. Her feathers puffed from the wind. "I came late," she said, "but I heard your stories from the trees." "Would you like to hear one now?" I asked. She nodded, tucking her wings. So I told her about the drift whale, a massive constellation I had only dreamed of but never yet seen. It moved slowly across the sky, its stars dimmer than the rest, easy to miss if you weren't patient. But in dreams, it swam with a low, echoing song and carried smaller starfish across the galaxy on its back. "I think it only shows up when someone feels lost," I said, "to carry them gently until they find their light again." The owl blinked slowly. "That's a good one," she whispered. I noticed after that how many creatures returned on cloudy nights, as if my stories weren't just entertainment, but a kind of anchor, a reminder that the stars were still there, even when hidden. They called me the starfish keeper, not the ocean kind, but the storyteller kind. Halden visited again weeks later, gliding down with his wings lit by moonlight. He looked different, quieter somehow, older in the eyes. "I flew above the clouds," he said, "high as I could. The stars are brighter up there, fiercer. But I looked, and I think I saw your velvet ray." "You did?" My fins fluttered wildly. "She blinked at me," he said with a soft chuckle. "Just once." My heart swelled, not just with joy, but with something bigger, a connection, a thread. That night I told a story not just about the stars, but about us, the creatures who gather, the heron who flew, the owl who listened, the hedgehog who hummed. I told them we were all stargazers, each in our own way. And as the night deepened and the fireflies blinked along the pond's edge, I realized something gentle and quiet. My stories had become a lantern, too. Not one made of oil or wick, but of wonder. And even on the darkest nights, wonder has a way of glowing softly through the clouds. The sky was missing. That's the only way I can explain it. It wasn't just cloudy that evening. It was swallowed. A thick quilt of gray draped over the forest, heavy and still. No moon, no stars. Not even a faint shimmer to whisper that something waited behind the veil. The pond, usually my mirror of the sky, looked like ink. Not the good kind, not the kind you write poems with, but the kind that blots everything out. I floated in my usual place beneath the willow branch. I waited and waited, but nothing came. No flicker of lantern fin, no gentle arc of the velvet ray, no mischievous twinkle from ripple tail, only darkness. I tried pretending. I even closed my eyes, imagining where each of them might be. There, I thought, there's the silver minnow slipping along the cattail's reflection, and above her, skyloop just beginning to curl. But when I opened my eyes again, the pond was empty, and the quiet felt heavier than usual, like something had gone missing. I dipped lower into the water, feeling a chill, not from the cold, but from the absence. I missed them. I missed the stars. I missed them, their silent company, their blinking kindness, the way they made the pond feel like more than just a puddle in the woods. I didn't even notice the soft footsteps at first, or the gentle ripples breaking at the shore. But soon I heard them, low voices, careful paws, rustling fur and feathers. The animals had come anyway. I peeked through the reeds. A line of silhouettes was forming along the bank. Thimble the frog with his usual dramatic lean, the hedgehog curling near the moss stone, the bent-tailed squirrel dragging a stick of something sweet. Even Halden, the heron, stood tall in his usual willow perch. And yet, the stars weren't here for me to show them. A tight ache fluttered in my chest. I didn't want them to see me like this, lost, unsure, empty-finned. I sank a little deeper into the water, hoping they'd simply enjoy the night sounds and let me be quiet. But then, "Is it true?" Thimble said, clearing his throat with his usual flair, "that the velvet ray always rises before the moon?" I blinked. "And Rippletail," whispered the hedgehog, "likes to play hide and seek behind the trees?" "I remember the silver minnow," the squirrel piped up. "She darts fast, but she always circles back to her shoal." "And Skyloop," said Halden gently, "twists like she's trying to remember a song." One by one they spoke, not to me, to each other, repeating the stories I'd told them, recalling the constellations in their own words, naming the stars that weren't there tonight but still glowed inside their memories. I floated higher, just beneath the surface, my heart aching in a different way now. Not with loneliness, but with awe. Because somehow, even without the stars, the stories remained. In them, in all of them. The pond may have been dark, but my friends were glowing. "I remember when Fern said that the lanternfin never swims in a straight line," said the little mouse, peeking from under a leaf. "She flickers, like she's chasing something only she can see." "And driftwhale," murmured the badger from his ferny hiding place, "carries the small ones when they feel lost." Someone hummed softly, the owl, a slow, dreamy tune, one I'd described from a dream. The song of the drift whale. It felt like stardust wrapped in a lullaby. I rose to the surface, unable to stay hidden any longer. "You remember them," I said, my voice just louder than a ripple. All heads turned to the water, eyes warm, paws still. "Of course we do," said Halden. "You gave them to us." "But they're not here tonight," I said, glancing upward at the starless sky. "The skyfish, I can't see them. I can't point them out or describe their movements. I feel like I've lost them." Thimble gave a small, exaggerated snort. "Rubbish. Just because we can't see them doesn't mean they're gone." The hedgehog nodded. "We still know their shapes." "And their names," added the squirrel. "And how they feel," whispered the owl. That last one made my gills flutter. Because she was right. It wasn't just that they remembered. It was how they remembered. They knew the shape of the velvet ray not just by outline, but by her grace. They knew lanternfin's flicker not by stars, but by rhythm. They remembered Rippletail not by location, but by mischief. And Driftwhale? Driftwhale lived in their hearts now, in their quiet nights and winding thoughts and hopes too soft to say aloud. "They're inside you now," I whispered, tears blooming gently behind my eyes. "The skyfish live here." I tapped a fin to my chest. "And here," said the mouse, placing a paw over hers. "And here," Halden echoed, tapping his beak lightly to his feathers. The pond shimmered, not from starlight, but from something deeper. Reflected in the dark water weren't stars or skyfish, but silhouettes of creatures sitting quietly together, held by story, memory, and warmth. The fireflies came out late that evening, not in their usual fluttering dances, but in slow, gentle blinks. They drifted low over the pond, hovering close like little floating embers. Someone giggled. "Look, it's lanternfin," said the squirrel, pointing as a firefly curved lazily across the air. Others followed. The velvet ray danced above the reeds in the swoop of a moth's wings. Rippletail swirled in a group of tadpoles playing in a circle. And Skyloop? Skyloop moved in the tail of smoke curling from the fox's pinecone fire. They were everywhere, even without the stars. Because stories, I realized, don't vanish with the light. They stay. In the hush of memory, in the eyes of friends, in the warmth of shared nights when the world is too quiet and the sky is hiding. I swam a slow circle beneath the surface, letting the dark water wrap me gently. The ache in my chest had softened into something sweet, something glowing. "Tonight," I said, "the stars are resting." "But we are not," said Halden. "No," I smiled, "we are remembering." And the pond, though black as ink, felt full of light. The stars came back, not with a grand fanfare or a sudden burst, just a quiet return, like an old friend slipping through the doorway and offering a familiar smile. One by one they blinked into view, soft as candlelight, bold as breath held in wonder. I floated near the surface, still and silent, my fins barely moving. I didn't call out, didn't blink, just watched. Because this time I saw them differently. Not just scattered points of light or curious shapes to be named. They were more than that now. They were familiar. They had weight, story, presence, memory. I traced the familiar arc of the velvet ray, her glow sweeping low near the eastern trees. She was softer than I remembered, almost dreamy in her movement. And Rippletail, always playful, flashed between two willows, her light skipping like laughter. But what caught me most was the way they shone in the water. The pond, calm and glassy once more, caught their light with ease. But it wasn't just reflection, it was invitation. The stars didn't just belong to the sky anymore. They belonged here too, and somehow to me. I let myself drift downward toward the sandy bottom, where lily roots curled like sleepy snakes and old stones kept their secrets. The water was quiet here, cooler and still. With the tip of my fin, I began to trace. A curve, a flicker, a fin that glowed only in stories. I sketched the velvet ray first, her sweeping wings wide in the silt. Then the silver minnow, slender and darting. Lanternfin came next. Her flickering trail formed of tiny dots I pressed gently into the sand. It was clumsy at first. Mud stirred, shapes wobbled, but I didn't mind. This wasn't for perfection. It was for remembering, for leaving something behind. a trail of starfish, not made of skin and scales, but of memory and dream. I continued each day after. Whenever the pond was calm and my heart felt full, I would glide low and leave a new shape. Skyloop's spiral, the sleeping drift whale, the shy gleam of teardrop fin, a constellation I'd only seen once, the night I felt small and far away. Some shapes vanished after a few hours, washed away by the turtles or the current or a curious beetle. But I kept drawing them, over and over, because each time I traced a new starfish in the silt, I felt them stay a little longer, not just in the pond, but in me. Each night the animals still came. Thimble always tried to sit in the same spot, declaring it his theater seat. The squirrel brought nuts and nibbled loudly through every story. The owl dozed with one eye open. Even Halden returned when his wings weren't carrying him beyond the clouds. And the stories continued. Not always new, but always growing. I told them how Rippletail once raced a shooting star across the sky and won by a flicker. How Drift Whale carried a dream from a pond far away and cradled it in its glowing back. How the lanternfin once paused her endless darting to light the way for a homesick moth. Sometimes the others added their own lines. The mouse would say, "What if the silver minnow sleeps beneath the moon?" The badger once murmured, "I think the velvet ray is old. She remembers when the pond was just a puddle." I would smile and nod and tuck those thoughts into the next telling. And on the nights when clouds rolled in, no one panicked anymore. No one left early or slumped with disappointment. Instead, we closed our eyes and whispered what we remembered. And that was enough. The sky always came back eventually. But the stories, they were constant. One evening, while tracing a new fish, one with long fins like willow branches, I paused. I'd drawn her tail 3 times, unsure of the curve. I brushed it away, tried again. This one didn't have a name yet, but she felt important. I stared at her outline, a soft line of silt beneath the water, and realized she reminded me of me. A little awkward, a little unsure, but full of wonder. So I named her Pond Glow, a skyfish born not in the stars, but in the stillness below. And somehow that changed everything. Because if a starfish could begin here, in a pond, in the dreaming of a small goldfish, then maybe all constellations begin that way. Maybe every shape in the sky is a whisper someone once dared to believe, a thought, a story, a memory, a dream. Now when I look at the stars, I don't feel like I'm reaching. I feel like I'm with them, swimming among them, not with my fins, but with something quieter, deeper. Sometimes when the wind is perfectly still and the surface of the pond holds the sky just right, I float at the very top of the water, my body motionless, my eyes wide. And for a moment, it feels like the stars aren't above me. They're around me, drifting, shimmering, close. That night I told one final story, a quiet one, a true one, about a little goldfish named Fern who used to stare at the stars, wondering if they'd ever see her too. how she whispered and waited and dreamed, and how one day she realized the stars had been listening all along. And not only that, they'd begun to whisper back. As the animals curled close and the fireflies blinked their soft lullaby, I floated there, still as moonlight. The pond held everything now, the sky, the stars, the stories, and me. And in that stillness, with the shapes I'd traced below and the constellations twinkling above, I knew I wasn't just watching the stars anymore. I was among them. And that ends tonight's meditation. You're welcome to stay for a bit longer if you like. Have a beautiful night until next time.